In 2019, a user named ControlTheNarrative became an instant legend on Wallstreetbets after posting a video of himself that would absolutely blow up all over the internet. ControlTheNarrative wasn't just a trader, he was a madman on a mission to make as much money as humanly possible, with risky positions that could literally put him in unlimited amounts of debt. It all started like so many Wallstreetbets sagas, with an opinionated teenager stumbling upon the subreddit. ControlTheNarrative wasn't content to just lurk. This was a guy who asked deep philosophical questions like, how can we bring socialism to the bedroom? And why don't poor people just quit their jobs? His takes were as sharp as a butter knife, but that didn't matter. He had found a home in Wallstreetbets. But underneath his obnoxious Reddit persona was a man destined for greatness, or at least infamy. When he discovered Robinhood Gold, the brokerage's margin trading platform, everything changed. For the uninitiated, margin trading allows you to borrow money to buy stocks, essentially amplifying both your potential gains and losses. Most people approach margin with extreme caution, not ControlTheNarrative. He looked at Robinhood Gold and saw a golden ticket, a magical pot of free money. His first big margin play, a bet on Microsoft earnings, didn't just flop, it imploded, leaving him $30,000 in the hole. For most people, this would have been the end. A wake-up call. A moment of reflection. But ControlTheNarrative wasn't like most people. He dusted himself off, shrugged at the carnage, and whispered to himself, what if I just do it again? This is where things get legendary. Somehow, despite the massive loss, he managed to dig himself out of this margin call, and instead of learning a single thing from the experience, he dove straight back in, armed with nothing but Robinhood's trust and his own unshakable delusion. What came next was one of the greatest exploits in Wallstreetbets history, the Robinhood free money glitch. The glitch was as simple as it was absurd. ControlTheNarrative figured out how to trick Robinhood into giving him effectively infinite buying power. He deposited $2,000 into his account, which qualified him for Robinhood Gold's 2-to-1 margin. This gave him $4,000 in buying power. He used that money to buy 100 shares of AMD stock and then sold deep in the money covered calls on those shares. Selling these calls earned him a premium, cash in hand, and Robinhood treated this premium as actual cash in his account. And because he had Robinhood Gold, this cash was then doubled with margin. This loop repeated endlessly. By the time he was done, he had turned his $2,000 deposit into $50,000 in buying power. All of it was fake, leveraged to oblivion, and hilariously unsustainable. With his artificially inflated account balance, ControlTheNarrative decided it was time to go all in. Obviously, he went straight for options. His choice? Apple puts, set to expire in 2 days. He was betting that Apple's upcoming earnings report would tank the stock price. If he was right, his profits would be astronomical. If he was wrong, well, let's just say there wasn't much room for error. When Apple released its earnings report, the market did the opposite of tanking. The stock soared, crushing every single one of his put options. His $50,000 buying power vaporized in an instant, leaving him not just broke, but deeply in debt to Robinhood. It was in this moment, as the weight of his catastrophic decisions hit him, that he uttered the sound that would define his legacy. Guh. It wasn't a scream or a cry, it was more primal than that. Guh wasn't just a word, it was the sound of a man watching his financial hopes and dreams deteriorate before his very eyes. In that single syllable, he captured the essence of Wallstreetbets, the reckless ambition, the inevitable downfall, and the sheer absurdity of it all. Robinhood, finally waking up to the chaos, issued a margin call that hit him like a freight train. For the uninitiated, a margin call is when your brokerage says, hey, remember that money we let you borrow? Yeah, we're gonna need that back, like now. Unfortunately for ControlTheNarrative, he didn't have the money. All he had was a worthless portfolio and a permanent ban from Robinhood. The story of ControlTheNarrative didn't end with his banishment. If anything, his legacy grew. His epic rise and fall became a meme, a cautionary tale, and an anthem for every degenerate gambler in the Wallstreetbets community. The sound of "guh" became shorthand for every bad trade, every blown account, and every moment of financial despair. What makes his story so compelling isn't just the ridiculousness of the glitch or the sheer size of his losses, it's the audacity. ControlTheNarrative didn't just find a loophole, he exploited it to its absolute limit, pushing the boundaries of what one man can accomplish with borrowed money and zero common sense. He didn't just lose, he lost in the most spectacular way possible, leaving behind a legacy that will live on in Wallstreetbets lore forever. So here's to control the narrative, the man who didn't just control the narrative, he rewrote it, one insane trade at a time. And when it all ended, he gave us the sound that would echo through the halls of WallStreetBets history forever.